What's up, world? I'm here for another episode of Dreamchasers. It's a show I created to inspire people from all walks of life to chase their dreams. I bring guests like Anders Varner on my show to share insights, advice, and help people to create their dream realities. I'm really excited to have Anders on the show. He owns the CrossFit box that I work out at. And we've gotten to know each other over the last 2 months or so, and just immediate synergy over our love of old school rap as we were just discussing. So I'll let Anders introduce himself. So tell the people, who is Anders Varner?
I guess on the surface, you could call me a CrossFit coach, strength and conditioning coach. I'd love to think of myself as just a strength coach in general. And as we'll probably get into later, that role is kind of a very flexible term in between the wide array of people that we end up coaching and having conversations with. I think kind of where a lot of my interests lie are just in connecting with people, and I happen to know a little bit about fitness, and that's the way I kind of express connecting with people.
Okay, so how did you get into CrossFit originally?
I was one of the super early adopters. So it's actually like the greatest story. We had a couple buddies of mine that were doing it, and we thought they were nuts. I was doing the regular bodybuilding routine at the gym. My buddy said, "Hey, do this. It's going to kick your ass." I said, "Whatever, I'm in great shape. No big deal." Just like everybody's story, I got destroyed, and next thing you know, I'm hooked. It was cool though, because it was like you graduated college. We all played high school sports. We all went to college. We all did all this, and then you graduate college, and it's like you're looking to kind of attach yourself to something. And being an athlete, I needed something athletic to do, and CrossFit just hit me like a freaking drug at like the right time in my life for exactly that. Like I was looking for the intensity. I was looking for something that made me strong, made me fast, kept me athletic, kept me just mentally in the game. And I was learning things. I had never done gymnastics. I had never done Olympic lifting. And we were the only ones in the gym doing it. And this was in 2006. So if people that envision CrossFit now or have heard of it in the last 3 or 4 years don't understand how little information existed when we were doing this. So there was literally 3 people in a Gold's gym, me and 2 of my buddies, and there was one trainer that had heard of it, and we kind of like just rapped with him and like picked his brain with a little bit he knew. And all there was this little website that had a couple demo videos, and it was like 3, 2, 1, go every day, and we just beat the crap out of each other. And there was never enough. Our girlfriends wanted to kill us because it's all we talked about. And then all of a sudden the sport was created, and that became like, I was already playing this as a sport every day against my friends. And then before I had even moved out here, I knew I was moving out here. And before the Open, before regionals, they just had sectionals. And it was in a parking lot, and there was maybe 100 total people not competing, but spectators, the works, like 100 people in a parking lot.
Wow.
And I think there was like 75 people like competing, and it was tiny. I mean, literally in a parking lot, and not a big one. And man, I was kind of like a savage in my own gym. Like I didn't have to worry about losing to people, and I was stronger than most people because I came from a pretty good strength background. I had a good strength coach in high school. My best friend and like the business partner, Brian, and I trained in college and after college. And then I got out here, and within 3 weeks, I want to say first month of living here, we had the sectionals competition. I thought I was just going to walk in and just wax people. Like I'm the best at this that I've ever met.
Uh-huh.
And why would it be any different in Southern California? And I walked into the belly of a beast and got my ass kicked. And it was that day that I realized, if I'm going to do this, this is going to be my thing, I'm in. And I'm in.
So like what happened that day that like just made you go all in?
Well, I was already all in.
Yeah.
And as far as the business side of things goes, I was so committed to this in 2006 that I had a business plan written. I was going to open a gym in Arlington, Virginia when I was 24 years old.
Uh-huh.
And very luckily on the maturity side and the understanding what's going on side, like that would have been a terrible idea. I was not prepared for any of that, especially with the rapid growth and like just my maturity level and age and all of that would not have worked well. But I was in. I had applied for an affiliate. I was 100%. There's never been a moment in my life or since I've found CrossFit where this wasn't the thing. And then the sport happened. And then if I was in earlier, then I was just buried in it by that time. Like it was so I ended up going to grad school instead of opening the gym with my buddy, which was a great idea. I learned a lot. I matured a lot. Had a great number of conversations about actually owning a business and what goes into that. I went and got my MBA and then moved out here and re-met up with Brian. And I was like kind of just hanging out at my day job. And I mean, those people at my day job were great, but I was working from home. I had been working from home for 2 years. And when I moved out here, I was literally, I mean, just to give you an idea of how nuts I was moved out here with like a 50-pound bag of clothes. And I literally bought a bike out here, would drive it to take a bus downtown, would get off the bus. I would take the train to East Village to train at CrossFit East Village. That was one of the gyms that was open. And then I would take the train and come back every night. So my workout, which would be about an hour to an hour and a half of training, was actually like a 4-hour episode of my life every day.
Jesus.
And I was like, so if I'm going to live out here, like I need to change this.
Yeah.
And I had already kind of in my brain so many times written this business plan and like envisioned what the gym would look like and how it would feel. And like, it was so real to me already from the first one. And then thinking about it all through grad school that when we got here, Brian was in and it was just like, we have to go. Like, I can't keep, it's almost like I just couldn't keep wasting my life knowing that I needed to teach people about this.
Yeah.
And sport kept going and made it to regionals the last like 4 out of the last 5 years. I've competed. I'm pretty much on the back end of all of that now. That's not really my thing. But I love it. It's great. I think that we could probably spend 5 hours talking about what the growth has done to the sport, to the fitness program, to all of it. The growth has created such a large net over what I originally remember from back in the day. And like what I thought it was compared to like what you think it is. You've been doing it 2 months.
Yeah.
And what you see is, I mean, in just an education of the coaching and the systems and all of that, like we didn't have any of that. It was freaking free for all. Like every day was just, we have these programs set up for like at the gym where it's like we have this like bodybuilding type program and we have a competition program and we have like the general fitness program, and none of that existed. It was just go. Like, you want to do Olympic lifting? Put the weight on the bar. Like, let's do it. And it was crazy, but it's so many of the things are so much better now. Now that people have kind of been able to like wrap their heads around the whole Like, what is this thing? What is this intensity piece? What is this functional movement thing? Really, the intensity piece, I think, is the one that's people are really starting to kind of get to and understand what that, not only just what that means, but like what physiologically is going on with that intensity thing, like what is needed. There's so many levels to it now. The education's so good on the coaching side.
Well, talk about, you were saying that you were throwing all this together as you were going. Like, get more into that, because there are a lot of people out there who are just afraid to start like throwing things together and really seeing where it's going to take you.
Yeah. So we had like a baseline of what was going on. Olympic weightlifting has been around hundreds of years. Like, people have been picking things up and putting them over your head to do your manly feats of strength. Like, Russia, I feel like, is like built on this. But when CrossFit hit, and then this intensity thing, the only person in the whole country that was programming workouts was Greg Glassman on the CrossFit main page. So every morning we'd wake up, and we were on the East Coast, so we went to bed before the workouts went up, usually. So we'd wake up in the morning, you'd see the workout, and we would just go do it. And we didn't understand what scaling meant. So like, now there's progressions to doing muscle ups, or now when I watch somebody try to do a muscle up or a pull up or something, and I can see, hey, maybe we need to do some more back work and work on some more pulling stuff before we go and just jump on the rings.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
It was, it did in the strength and conditioning world before CrossFit was tiny. It was like, CrossFit connected all of the strength and conditioning people. Its growth has literally brought the smartest people together. You look at Kelly Starrett, Rob Wolf, the guy Jim Jones, and like all of these people have become subject matter experts because of the growth of CrossFit. And they each had their own little domain where it was like, Kelly Starrett was like, hey, this whole thing's really awesome, but we need to pay a little bit more attention to mobility. And then all of a sudden people are just flooded with, oh my God, this guy's a genius. Like, mobility is the answer. And then Rob Wolf's around, and it was like, fuck, now we have somebody that can like teach us about nutrition. And then the paleo thing like took off.
Yeah.
And all of these people came out of the CrossFit world. Greg Everett, the guy's written 5, 6, 7 books. He's got a ridiculously great weightlifting team, and people are learning weightlifting from him. Mike Bergner trains people out of his garage. He's had like a couple like his son was an Olympian. No one would ever know who a weightlifting coach in the world is. Like, nobody knows. But all of a sudden, these people are ridiculously smart, and someone needs that skill set. Like, I need a weightlifting coach. Who do I go find? Mike Bergner, Sean Waxman, like these people that were stuck in tiny little garages and coaching 10 to 20 athletes and making ends meet. All of a sudden we're thrust into, oh my God, there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of CrossFitters that are interested in learning the snatch and clean and jerk. And Rob Wolf has literally taken scientific nutrition and said, hey, this is how you're supposed to eat. And all of a sudden you've got hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that are interested in eating for performance. And they go, where do I learn how to do that? Oh, that Rob Wolf guy, he's a scientist and he's really smart. Let's listen to him. And now all of a sudden you have these people that are tremendously successful. And it's because CrossFit has brought intelligent strength and conditioning to the masses, and it's unbelievable. So
it's basically you started trying, and then the systems came into place as you went.
Yeah, because people fail. Like, as with everything. I do CrossFit, business, call it whatever you want. You're on this path. You find this thing. Like, we're gonna crush it. And then you hit a point where you're like, man, bump in the road. not recovering too well. What's going to help recovery?
Let's specifically talk about one of those bumps in the road.
I mean, well, so back, I honestly couldn't really. The biggest thing for me, so when I went to grad school, we were doing this whole thing by ourselves. And I remember my first weightlifting coach, he actually owns a CrossFit gym in Northern Virginia. So we're all hanging out. All of my friends could do muscle ups. I couldn't do muscle ups, so it used to drive me nuts. But there was nobody around teaching gymnastics. So I wanted to be better at weightlifting than them. So I hired one of the trainers at the gym that knew about CrossFit. He came from some Eastern Bloc country. I wish I could remember the name of it. He knew a little bit about weightlifting, and I was like, hey, will you teach me how to do a clean, like the right way? And we sat down for an hour, and he taught me how to do a clean. And then all of a sudden it was like just 1 hour of learning how to do something the right way and then pushing it into your normal practice. And then all of a sudden, and that's how it goes. Like you have this thing and then you get to a point and you can't go anymore.
Right.
And you got to rebuild. You got to go back to the basics and rebuild. You got to go back to the basics and rebuild. And that's what's happened literally throughout. So I went to grad school and I had never had a coach. And all of a sudden I met Paul Beckwith, and he was the guy that owned Carolina CrossFit. And he was the old strength coach for Carolina football. He played football at Carolina. And 2 years I sat underneath him and just said, teach me. And it was like the greatest 2-year mentorship of like I was helping coach a little bit, but mainly I was just sitting there listening to a really freaking smart guy that knows his shit and cares about people. And I watched him build his gym I was one of the first like 30 members at 6 months into him doing, like nobody was doing CrossFit. And now he's got 500 plus members. And I mean, it's like these people come out of the woodworks because people were interested in CrossFit. And, you know, I wanted to learn about conditioning. He taught me about conditioning. Like, how do I actually get strong? Like, I've been doing weightlifting and strength training my whole life, but like, how do I actually get strong? And there's a big difference in programming and all of these things, and you don't realize it until someone just says like, hey, let's try this. And they add that layer, and they're like, hey, let's add this next layer to it. Hey, let's add this next layer to it. And then all of a sudden it's like, you know, all of these layers and all the pieces start to come together. And lucky for me, I was like in a spot where we could open a gym and start doing that to other people.
Which is great. And I think what was important for the audience to realize is this coaching point, right? There are so many people who are either starting their dreams or on the path and don't realize that they need a coach. Like when I hired my coach, Josh Trent, and I actually got the experience of getting coaching, I immediately understood why you hire a coach. And before that, I was scared shitless to hire a coach because of the financial commitment and just like the not knowing. And for anyone out there, no matter what you're doing, I think you have to hire a coach because you don't know your blind spots. And a coach, especially a good one, can come in and make an immediate impact on the next level like it did for you.
Yeah, I think that one of the most important things that the self-reflection, and you don't even understand what self-reflection is and being able to see your actions from the outside in until you hire a coach.
Yeah.
Because they look at you and they're completely unbiased. And you're like, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing this, and they're like, stop. Why don't you just do this? You're like, oh yeah, that's the thing that makes everything else go? Ah, I got it. And go through enough of those sessions. And I mean, I've had a business coach as well. And I literally sat down. I felt like in the middle of it, Jesse Ibanez, he's one of our members, he's a great friend of mine. And I initially was like, hey, I need some help. I don't know what the hell's going on. Like, we got these members, we've got a business, I guess. What am I supposed to do for the rest of my life? Like, how do I make this happen? And he'd be like, well, what do you do? Like, I do like this and this and this and this. And he'd be like, I don't even know what you're telling me. Like, what do you actually do? He'd be like, I coach. He'd be like, just do that. Like, just try and be good at that. And I'd be like, wow, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
If I just do that, everything else would work. And the coaching is, you know, with sports, with like, that's why they exist. You know, it makes everything easy.
Well, there's that like one thing that you have to do well. Like anyone who's not been coached or maybe not had experience planning a business or anything for that nature doesn't know to like focus on that one thing, right? Because you come out and you say, this is what I do. And what you don't realize is you're so all over the place. So one of the takeaways for anyone is just like write down and like, what's your one thing that you can do in your business or maybe as a musician that makes you special? Because if you can't articulate that and have it be clear to someone else, and it needs to be someone else not clear to you, then it does you no good.
And the more specific that you can hone in on that thing, like who do you coach?
Mm-hmm.
What are you coaching them on? How are you coaching them? And if coaching is the thing, then there's like a very close next level to it of how, what, why, who. Once you find that very initial thing, and the more specific you are, like there's a lot of people in the world, you're going to find those specific people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very cool.
So let's talk about some of the pains from transitioning from where you were to being a real business.
All of them. Wow.
Or maybe one that just like comes, I'm sure there's one that comes to your mind that you
I mean, all of them. So we, I mean, our business, it literally took five years, I would say, to become a business, which sounds so ridiculous almost, but it's a reality. Like and at some level you never stop running almost, because you're constantly feeling like your vision is one step beyond where you're actually at. You're like, damn it, if I could just get there. And then you get there and you're like, oh my God, that door opened up 7 new doors. Like, which one do I pick? If I pick all of them, that's going to be bad. What do I do? But we had a very rocky road when we started. Brian and I were both working 2 full-time jobs, the gym being one of them. I was working for Northrop Grumman. He was working for Hamilton Sundstrand, and he would run the morning classes. And then I would roll into the gym, and then I would coach the midday classes all while I was working from home. So there'd be many midday classes where I had a 3 p.m. meeting on the East Coast, and I had a noon class to run on the West Coast. And I'd be coaching snatches and clean and jerks on the West Coast with my phone on mute to the East Coast in conference calls. And they would literally, like, the next day, they'd be like, what happened to you on the meeting? And like, I don't know, I couldn't keep like my connection, like something must have been weird with the phones. And in the back of your head, they're like, how haven't you fired me yet? Like, what do I have to do to get fired? Anything. And like some really intelligent people, we signed a lease that shared a wall with an urgent care. And we're loud. Like, we listen to rap music. We listen to loud rap music, and we drop a lot of weights, and we hang out with really strong people. And that doesn't go well when you share a wall with an urgent care. So the urgent care actually owned our building. So like a year into it, we more or less got evicted. And in the midst of the negotiation, we had to find another spot. Wow. So we opened a second gym in North PB. And then all of a sudden you have another thing. You've got 2 businesses, and they're 7 blocks away from each other. So what do you do now? Like, no one wrote a book on this. And we ended up negotiating our way to stay in the first place. And somehow we managed to keep 2 places running and driving back and forth, hiring coaches, making sure we're still maintaining the community feel and like all of this. And there is no, like, there's a game plan, but how many times do you have to audible before you realize that the game plan is exactly what we were talking about earlier, just coach.
Yeah.
And 3 years into it, we've regrew the membership base and it started to get loud again. So we opened the second one. We basically divided the community in half. So the noise went down a ton. Everything grew back up. Everything gets loud again. And we got evicted.
Again?
Yeah. And luckily for us, we were able to negotiate our way through the eviction, give ourselves enough time to open the place that we're at now. And when we opened the place now, it's like, it gave us another chance to say, like, who are we? What are we doing? What is kind of like this? What is this thing now? And we still had the 2 locations. So we had one 6,000 plus square foot place that we're in now. We had a lease that we were in with an expiration date coming up in like 2 years. So we went a year and a half with 2 locations, even closer together now. That was like 5 blocks or something like that, which is ridiculous. And we were able to combine them all together, have a space that's big enough, and now we have one place, one business. We know where we're like, kind of, it feels good. Like,
yeah,
there's a good vibe to the place. Like it's much nicer. I don't have to drive back and forth 8 times a day. But yeah, it's crazy. Like, I mean, you never stop. Like, if you stop, you die. And there's no, like, I feel like I'm always one step behind my vision, and it's crazy because you go home at night and you don't stop.
No, like you're rolling in your sleep and you're like, what the hell am you doing?
And why do you always have your best ideas like 30 seconds before you're about to fall asleep? You're like, oh my God, we're going to change the world right now. I need to sleep. It just doesn't, like, your brain never stops.
No.
But that's why we do it.
So, like, let's talk to all the people who are listening to that and they're like, holy crap, that's a lot. Like, what's the biggest takeaway to encourage them to experience something like you went through?
I think that at the heart of entrepreneurship and the heart of owning anything is some sick, twisted belief in yourself. Like, such a deep belief that, like, you can get evicted twice from a building.
That's insane.
And have no money. Like, money isn't like a thing. Like,
No.
people think that money is a thing. Like, it's not real. It means nothing. Yes, you need it to live. And, like, having a lot of it, people may think is awesome. I don't really know. I'm sure there's a lot of benefits to it. But, like, it's about, like, finding all of the people that believe in the thing that you believe in and teaching them about your beliefs. And the only way that they're going to understand what you're trying to say is this, like, sick and twisted, unwavering belief in your message. And if you at any point, like, don't believe in yourself, you're done. And because you're going to fail too many times. If you question your belief in yourself, you're done. You can't get over it because you're going to fail so many times. You're going to do so many things that aren't the right move. And you just have to know that no matter what, you get evicted twice in 3 years, like, you're going to survive. Like, tomorrow you're going to show up and you're going to keep telling somebody that, like, I'm going to make your life better. It's wild.
So how do you build that sick and twisted belief?
I think there's a piece of me that loves everything that is CrossFit, like the growth and all of it. But I think that my purpose in life is to teach people about finding themselves and doing what is right for their purpose. And what I mean by that, it's like a very mindful approach to the way people do things. Anytime I see somebody in the gym or in life anywhere and they're trying to be somebody they're not having a real conversation with who they are. You know, and that piece, like, we live in PB and you see people, they come in and they're like, I want to lose weight. Like, all right, that's awesome. Like, I'm super into that. What are we going to do? Like, what are we going to change? I don't know. You tell me. All right, well, how many nights a week do you go out? 3. Well, that's not going to work. And I'm not saying it's not going to work because I don't want you to do that. Like, you're allowed to do that. But if you want to lose weight and you want to meet your physical goals, like, we might need to make some changes.
Right.
I don't know if I can do that. Why not? Because that's what my friends do. And then you start to get into what's going on. Like, how bad do you want to be someone else? Or how bad, not someone else, but how bad do you want this thing? And when you talk about this entrepreneur thing of what makes this sick and twisted thing, it's because I believe in the deepest part of my soul that eating well, mindful training, and having a conversation with yourself about who you are and what you stand for is the most important thing that people can do to themselves.
Yeah.
And if you can't have a real conversation with yourself, and if you can't eat well to fuel your body so that you can actually go out and perform these daily tasks, not be sick, and, you know, operate for 12, 13, 14 hours straight and operate at peak performance, you're going to need to be in shape. You're going to need to eat well. You're going to have a conversation with yourself of, is this exactly who I want to be and what I want to do?
Yeah.
And that is my message to people. And I can't get rid, like, no matter what I would do, I'd have to tell people about that. And
I think it evolves. I mean, I think you kind of start, one of the important points you got to illustrate is like the purpose, right? Like, a lot of people don't understand. You have to understand the purpose and build the foundation before you can go and actually execute.
Yeah.
Because if you have the purpose, you're going to quit when things start to get hard.
And you have to have a real conversation. Like, I read an article, my wife actually posted this article on my Facebook thing, and it's everybody wants to have all these things, but are you really willing to deal with the amount of pain that goes into having to do this? Do you know that if you're going to start a business, you're going to sleep never?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to live tired. Do you know that you're going to come home from work and you're going to eat a dinner with your wife or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whoever it is, and there's a chance that they're going to be talking to you, and in the back of your head, you're thinking about work.
Right.
And that sucks. And that's not awesome, because you should be super connected. But those thoughts consume you, and it consumes you so much that it's what you stand for. And they can evict us twice, but I still have to go and tell people about this.
Well, and that's just not business. That's literally like success in anything. You have to be that level of obsessed to be great.
And finding that thing, I think, is the hardest part for everyone. Like, and it's not for everyone. I think that's the biggest, like, one of the biggest takeaways is, like, some people just, I mean, everybody could, but it's also like there's super drawbacks, like huge drawbacks. I would love sometimes if I could just go and, like, party it up every weekend and, like, not, like, turn the brain off. But you can't. I mean, I guess you can, and I'm able to do that when I completely disconnect and get rid of the phone for a weekend or, like, a vacation or something. But when you're in it and everything is a feeling almost, and that's a challenging thing for people to get, is you're creating something. So you're always in this thing of, like, hey, if I create this thing, like, where does that go and how does that make that feel? And everything's kind of connected in these little things, and it's always like, and it's awesome, but it's not for everybody, and it shouldn't be, because it's really challenging.
Well, yeah, I mean, what would success be if everyone had it, you know? And I think it's so funny that you brought that up, because I'm reading this book called Finding Your Way to Your Authentic Career right now by Adam Taggart. And it's kind of along those lines of deep personal dive. And I think it makes you dig into parts of yourself that you just don't even know are there.
And it's the other thing about that I have found is the sustainability of it. And I don't think people realize how long like forever is. And it's like, I want to be an entrepreneur. Okay, what are you going to do in like 20 years? Like, what is the message that you want to tell people forever? That's a long time.
Yeah.
And if you're going to sign up for it, you better believe in this thing.
You better.
Because there's going to be a lot of bumps in the road.
Yeah.
And, you know, if it's going to be your life and your career and everything that you stand for, there better not be any chinks in the armor. And you don't need it on day one, but you better be really good at talking to yourself and figuring it out.
Yeah, well, you got to learn how to motivate yourself consistently. And there's a point where that motivation kind of fades out, and you have to just be able to just grind.
Yeah.
Like that ultimate hustle.
Yeah. And I think that's actually when I found out about your podcast, and I was like, hey, dude, tell me about that. Like, that sounds cool. And you were like, yeah, I really dig it. And then you were like, and like, if it kind of catches on and people like it, like, here's what I really want to do. And here's how I really want to change people. And here's my impact that I want to have on people. And I was like, kind of gets it. Like, he like sees step 2 and 3. Step 2 and 3 leads to 4 and 5. And it was really cool to hear like your thought process on all, like, I where you're at and what you're working on, and all of this stuff is super inspiring to me, because I love the entrepreneurial mind. Like,
that's crazy.
It's super jacked up. We're not normal people.
No, that's what makes it fun though.
Yeah. It's hard, like, to find somebody else. Actually, one of our members, he owns a company as well called Backplane. I remember sitting down and talking to him, and we just like vibed. Like, we just got each other. And it was just all about like that thing of like, we're all nuts. We just run around talking about this thing, and we hope people believe us.
Yeah, right.
And we never stop talking about it.
No.
Like, this fitness thing, it's great. And like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But I love it.
Oh my God, that's so great. So where do you want your CrossFit gym to go in the next few years?
So I love the gym, and I love being there, and I love coaching. I think that the real next step for me, like I think that when I first started the gym and I was being an athlete and I was really into the CrossFit competition scene, like my sole purpose was, I want to go to the CrossFit Games. I want to be the best team. I want to have the best male. I want to have the best female. And as the sport has grown, and as kind of you see some of the longer term effects of like some injuries of people that, you know, like shouldn't be injured. And I think that what CrossFit has done is the most amazing thing ever. But along with the most amazing thing is there's this small percent of people that I really connect with in a really large transformation side of things. And, you know, like, I've been a huge part in some really cool stuff in our gym, and like really intense connections that I've had with people, as far as like people that have lost 75 pounds. I had a really good friend of mine who I've never in my wildest dreams would have thought, like, I'm going to start coaching a pregnant lady and teaching her how to be strong. And like, she had a terrible pregnancy and all these things. And all of a sudden we kind of started working out together, and you see these like changes, and you see the weight loss. And I have a couple clients that were like pro athletes, got injured, and just kind of like fell off. And then you see them, their lives come back. And as much as I would like love to say that like Michael Jordan's going to walk in or whoever, whatever pro athlete would be like, Anders Varner is the best. Like, I really have, what has solidified like my love in coaching people is seeing those transformations. And I give everything to those people. Like, I try to be there whenever it is. And now I'm coaching a group of 7 pregnant ladies that are either about to have babies or just had babies.
Wow.
And I never knew this was going to happen.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Nobody ever wakes up in the morning like, I bet I really connect with the pregnant ladies. Like, that just doesn't happen. But then you're like a part of it, and you connect with them, and all of a sudden there's a relationship developed, and you're just, you go through it with them. Like, you're a part of it, and you see them be happy, and their lives are more fulfilled because they're stronger, they're more capable, they have this sense of confidence about them. Like, they're going into their, labor, and they're like, I'm strong. That's a huge thing for a woman, to have confidence in herself that she can get through something like that.
Yeah.
And I never in a billion years would have thought that I was like somebody that could help a mom have a better birthing process. Like, that was never my thing. And now that I've done it a couple times and I've connected with these people and I understand kind of their fears and how I can like help mitigate some of that stuff, it really, it provides a lot of value, and it's very fulfilling to see that stuff. And where I want to go is tell those stories. And I think that like there's a baseline of like, the thing about health and nutrition and working out and all this stuff is you have to do it. It can't just be something you do or something you don't do. Everybody has to have a base level of strength to get around, a base level of conditioning to go run around and play with your kids or do something. You have to eat well or you're going to be sick. And you have to have this mindfulness side of, I'm about to eat dinner. Okay, what am I going to eat? Like, people in this country just eat and they don't think about it. And it's weird to me. Like, I'm probably on the crazier side of nutrition because I understand it maybe a little too much. But the fact that somebody will just, oh, I'm hungry, go to their freezer, pop a microwave meal in, and think that they're eating food is mind-boggling to me. Like, I don't get it, because people are so disconnected from who they are and what they're doing to themselves, and they repeat these habits, and all of a sudden you repeat a behavior enough times and it becomes this like default switch to being really unhealthy. And how many people sit down and watch TV and crack open a bag of chips? Well, your brain operates in a way that says, TV's on, I'm on the couch, I could use some chips. And every night you do that until you have problems. And then things are jacked. And if I can take these people and help them create some sort of healthy habits in their lives, and if I can create like a default switch so that I wake up and I go to the gym. Well, now the very first thing we did was incredibly positive for your day. We've gotten like the base level of health taken care of. Now we can go do a lot of other things, but at least we've covered like the most basic thing. We've had a good breakfast and we went to the gym.
Yep.
From there, you can do whatever you want, but we've at least established a baseline, and it says, I'm taking care of myself. I understand. Here's what I need to get through the rest of my day. And that's kind of like my purpose. Like my goal is to inspire somebody enough to want to set that baseline. And I don't know.
Just continue.
I love it.
Just to continue to
well,
do that.
I mean, I'm working with people to write a book. I have, there's projects that I'm working on. I have groups in Facebook of people that are, I give them a manual for how to eat. Here's your spreadsheet, punch a couple numbers in. We have ebooks up on our website, which you can buy to just get an idea of like, what is normal health? The book I'm writing now, I'm sure you've seen it in some of the blogs and stuff. It's called Good for Everything. And it's really just, how do we develop a set of baselines so that we can be good at everything? Like, do I wake up in the morning and exercise? Well, if you exercise, now you have the ability to go run around and be a good dad. You have the energy to get through your day. You are not going to be tired in the middle of your workday. You're going to be much more alert in your conversations, much more present with everybody that you're around. All right, so we got that baseline down. That's a pretty good habit that I could take. What about nutrition? Well, if I eat a certain way, I'm not going to be sick. That's the biggest problem. How do we get rid of sickness? Eat really well. Eat some vegetables. Eat some decent meat, and eat some carbohydrates around your workout when you deserve them. Okay? Well, if I eat really well, I'm not going to be sick. I'm probably going to be a better husband. I'm probably going to be a better wife. I'm probably going to be a better friend. I'm not going to be lazy. Like, I have this attention span that I can maintain throughout a 12 to 14-hour workday in the gym because I fuel my body well. And the mindfulness side of it, like some sort of mindfulness practice is, with the amount of things that go on in our lives, is almost like a mandatory thing.
I agree.
And it doesn't need to be, like, when you say that word to people, you're like, oh, do you want me to go meditate and retreat? Like, no, I don't at all, actually. I want you to wake up and I want you to think about, here's what I'd like to do today. Like, take 2 minutes and just sit there and try and think about what you'd like to do, who you'd like to be, and how can you help yourself do that in a day. It's,
whoa, that's good.
Like, you should do that. And I wake up in the morning to go coach classes, and I'm reminded that this is what I want to do. I want to be around these people. And if you can just do that, how do we eat well? How do we have enough exercise and physical capability to get through our day? And how do we process this information in a way that's something that we can be very aware of what we're doing to ourselves? Like, how do you program your own body to get to the thing that you want to be a part of or that you want to do? Mm-hmm. And that's a mindfulness practice. You don't have to go on a retreat to talk to yourself.
Right.
And those 3 things, they're good for everything.
Wow.
It's super simple to think about.
Wow. I think that's a great ask. I think people need to rewind and go back to that part about just taking that 2 minutes to do their thing, because it can literally transform your life.
Yeah. So I really kind of went through this process, and I read a lot, and I probably spend more money in self-help books than I'm really comfortable telling people about.
You and me both.
But it's important. Like, you have to do the self-work. Like, how are you gonna? And it goes back to, like, why do I believe in this thing so much? Like, why do I believe that adopting these behaviors will make you better at literally everything?
Yeah.
Like, find something where eating better, training intelligently, and having a conversation with yourself every morning isn't going to help. You can't. Like, you can't argue with that. And I read these books, and over again, they're like, hey, develop this mindfulness thing. You're like, what is this mindfulness thing? So I went and did the meditation thing for like 6 months, and I got it. Like I don't need to go on the retreat. I'm not saying I'm great at it. And, you know, that's kind of like a fixed mindset type thing to say, like, I got it.
I get it.
But I probably have 70% of it.
Mm.
And that extra 30% to me is kind of cumbersome in my life. And I want to take the pieces of the meditation practice and apply it to my life in a way that's not cumbersome, and that it aids my life instead of it being an extra thing that I need to do. And that's kind of what I do. Like I have a morning like little practice. Like I wake up and I coach at 5:30 in the morning, and I wake up and I sit in the shower and I'm like, here's what I'd like to do today. Like I really want to hang out with people and teach them about being healthy. And it's important to me. Yeah. And it reaffirms why you do something every single day. And I think that as I got into it, I realized that like my thing is like, if you can like leave, or like, I want to be like the most positive person to everybody I meet. And that may sound really cheesy, but like I want, whether our meeting is 1 minute, an hour, or whatever, like I don't want to flatter you, but I want you to see that my outlook is creating positivity in your life. And that's kind of like, you wake up in the morning and tell yourself that, and things kind of work themselves out.
Hell yes. Well, I can certainly resonate with that. And with the morning routine, there's a lot of tinkering you have to do. Like, I don't think people realize it's not like it's a set in stone thing, because like the meditation thing for you, you know, it doesn't resonate all the way through. And you have to try stuff out in order to figure out what's going to work. So even if you got to start with this small thing, that's half the fun of doing something like this, is you got to figure out what works for you. Because once you figure out what works for you, you're going to blow up. I mean, that's the bottom line. It's just, you have to take the time to figure out what's going to work for you.
And that's why we buy all the self-help books.
Because
they all say the same thing.
Right. But it's just all about taking from those.
When you take the little pieces, I mean, you mentioned earlier the one thing. That's a great book.
That's a great book.
But I can't do all of that.
Go buy it.
But I can do the most important thing in my day first every day.
Right.
Which is coach.
Right.
And connect with people.
Yeah.
And then after that, I don't have to worry about every tiny little thing, because I've already done the most important thing. And that's why those books are awesome. They're great. I love them.
Dude, I feel like honestly we could rap all night. I mean, this has been so great. Well, you gotta check out The One Thing. Is a great book, and thank you for coming on the show. It's been an honor to have you on the show. And also want to thank our sponsors, Gig Town. They basically have created the next music revolution. Have you heard about Gig Town yet?
I have not.
Dude, it is this amazing app. Like, imagine you're a fan of music, or you're a musician looking to get booked for a gig. You're not big time, so you can literally go on this app and you can find a place to play, and you can basically put your bio up about like who you are, your rate, on this like whole interactive smart app. And it's just like growing like crazy. CEO Andy Alton was on the show.
Awesome.
And then if you're someone like us who's just like looking to go see old school hip hop shows, then you can literally go on the app and find local music that is happening. So go check out the app. It's at gig.town/Dreamchasers. Gig.town/Dreamchasers. Bit of a tongue twister, but it's amazing stuff that they're doing. And thanks for letting us light up your day. Keep chasing your dreams. Boom.
Killed it.